Good, actually it's afternoon, early afternoon everybody, and welcome to the few of you newcomers. Thank you for everybody who takes the time to view this channel, and if the channel was helpful, please take the time to look through my older videos and my playlist, because good chance there's going to be something in there that interests you, and the new algorithm rules is not recommending videos from channels such as mine, because I'm, small and independent. Kind of the thing that YouTube was created for, huh? But, the big guys have to take over everything. They don't like competition. And that's why we don't have the Sherman Antitrust Act in effect or any of that. But nonetheless, this channel is called INFJ Integrity versus Narcissism. And I've gone deep into the INFJ part. And I've gone deep into the narcissism part. And it made me think, I need to create a new playlist about integrity. So what this playlist is going to be, and this will be the first video of it, is I'm going to do segments on people of integrity, people I admire. Some you've heard of, some maybe you haven't, but you should. And I thought the perfect person to kick this off with would be someone whose work I've been following for over 10 years. Somebody, a man of great integrity, who has, like me, been persecuted and retaliated against for having such strong integrity. So this is why this individual, whom I've never met, I think I've emailed him a couple times over the years, is the perfect candidate to kick this, new playlist off. And that is the one and only Mark Bunker, the wise beard man himself. Now, for those of you that don't know who Mark Bunker is, he is a broadcast journalist, an actor, a documentary filmmaker, a videographer. He's most known in that industry for his documentary work, and it mainly centers around the Church of Scientology. And when I mean the Church of Scientology, I mean the corporate Church of Scientology, the one that David Miscavige is the head of. Mark Bunker, though he was never in Scientology, has been publicly speaking out about the abuses of the Church of Scientology since 1999, 2000, in and around there, when he and Bob Mitten and Stacy Brooks created the Lisa McPherson Trust, which was a trust to investigate Scientology's abuses after the tragic death of Lisa McPherson. Mark's done a lot of videos about that. He also at this time formed Xenu TV, in which he posts his interviews, his documentaries, all his stuff that he learns about the Church of Scientology and his interactions with various Scientologists. Xenu TV, I believe, is still up there. There's also a lot of good articles you can read, the confidential OT levels up there. You can read about these. Squirrel in Tech. Yeah, I have an e-meter. I was never in, but I have an e-meter. I'll do a video on them. You get one cheap. They can be fun for your own uses, but essentially it's 1/3 of a lie detector. But again, separate video on the e-meter. So he was involved in that to great detriment of himself. Once the Lisa McPherson Trust went up, Mark Bunker was pursued ruthlessly by Scientology. Flyers were given out to his neighbors. He was slandered as, a child molester, as anything you can name, because since they didn't have any actual real evidence of, any crimes to use against him, they just make it up, which, I know a little something about that, because that's how Chester County works. And, from all purposes, I've watched many of interview, many a documentary with Mark Bunker. He seems to be like one of the most genuine, likable guys, a true man of integrity. They make fun of, Scientology makes fun of his weight. And, Mark has straight up said, like, he's the jolly fat guy. And he is the jolly fat guy. He's the guy that, you want to be like the town Santa for the kids. But this didn't deter him. Scientology attempted to kidnap him once. They changed his airport shuttle and his flight and, essentially, tried to kidnap him. Still didn't deter him. They went after him, Bob Mitten and Stacy Brooks, relentlessly during the time of the Lisa McPherson Trust, to the point where Bob Mitten, in ill health at that point, had to shut it down and just wanted out. But that did not deter Mark Bunker, And the nice thing is, with his integrity, is that some of the people who once attacked him now thank him. A great example of that would be Tori Chrisman. Her channel is called Tori Magoo 44. She's another former Scientologist, and it's interesting because on Xenu TV and on Mark's YouTube channel, you can see him and Tori interacting in 1999 when Tori was still a Scientologist, an OT7 at that, and see her interaction, what she thought then as opposed to when she left. She left the following year. So throughout all this, Mark Bunker continued to expose the abuses of the corporate church of Scientology. And I keep saying corporate church of Scientology because Scientology, the corporate church, tries to slander Mark as a religious bigot, saying he's bigoted against Scientologists. Well, this is not true. And the evidence for that is that while Mark is a strong and rightful critic of the corporate church of Scientology, he very much supports what's known as independent Scientology or the free zone, which is essentially Scientologists, mostly those that have left the corporate church and some they've brought in, that practice parts or all of the tenets of Scientology outside the corporate church, and they don't do the abusive disconnection and stalking, Office of Special Affairs actions that David Miscavige's church does. And, Mark's spoken out in support of them and has even attended their conferences. There's video of this. So, no, he's not bigoted against the beliefs of Scientology. He's exposing the abuse and wrongful actions of the corporate church of Scientology that tries to excuse those crimes in the name of religion. It's just like a hardcore right-wing Christian couldn't burn me at the stake for being a witch and be like, well, it's my religion, I get a pass. That's not how it works. That's not how it works at all. So Mark has, tried to familiarize himself with some of the tenets of Scientology. He has an e-meter himself he tries to play with, and he said he's read Dianetics, which is not an easy read. I've tried to listen to the audiobook. A little bit of it where it's like, that's kind of cool, but most of it's like, what? Like, did you just spit out a first draft and publish it? Yeah. So, Mark's pursuit of wanting justice and exposing crimes, wanting the truth out there, led him to move to Clearwater, Florida, which is the spiritual headquarters of Scientology. Now, think about that. This organization despises him. They've been out to get him for years at this point, and yet he's like, no, I'm not giving up. I'm moving in your backyard. I'm going to expose whatever I can, and you're going to have to deal with it because I'm going to do it within the grounds of the law and on public sidewalks. So they tried to get some bogus restraining orders and stuff against him. I say bogus because years later, when Mike Rinder left in 2007, he was the head of the Office of Special Affairs at that point and the international spokesman. And since leaving in 2007, he's become friends with Mark Bunker and has said on camera how bogus some of these actions against Mark Bunker were. And he would know, being the head of the part of Scientology, the Office of Special Affairs, that does those shady operations. And the Office of Special Affairs is, the modern incarnation of what was known as the Guardian's Office, which stole federal documents back in the day. And L. Ron Hubbard's wife, Mary Sue, took the rap for him and went to jail. So they didn't really get rid of the Guardian's Office. They just kind of renamed it. So, but yet that does not deter Mark Bunker and many others. But again, there's many people speaking out against Scientology now. But Bunker is a true OG because he was doing this in the 90s, long before, the many of the leaks of what we know about Scientology was known today. Because the internet was in its infancy in these days, and major critics that exist today, like Leah Remini and Mike Rinder, were still within Scientology's ranks at that point. Many of them, even Mark Hegley, Aaron Smith-Levin, all these major names, they were still Scientologists when Mark Bunker was walking the streets of LA with his video camera, being told he's trespassing while on a public sidewalk. So at that time, there were very few people in the late 90s that were willing to speak up against Scientology. One of the true originals, at least in terms of the printed word, would be my friend John Atack, who hopefully I can interview on here someday. Hence why I didn't choose him as the subject of this first video of people of integrity, because there's a realistic chance that I could just interview him, let him tell his story. So Mark Bunker continued to live in Clearwater, Florida at Scientology's spiritual headquarters despite relentless abuse and harassment by Scientology. However, he's on a mission to save downtown Clearwater. Yeah. And again, he's not against individual Scientologists, although many have harassed him on camera, notably Paris Morphopoulos, who's also now a city councilman of Clearwater, as Mark Bunker is. Mark Bunker states all the time, you can believe anything you want. You can't act any way you want. In other words, you have the right to whatever religion, to practice whatever religion you want and the tenets of that religion, as long as it doesn't infringe on the rights of other people. Get it? So, if you want to sit with an e-meter and say you're clearing body thetans, that's fine. But you can't go harassing people and abusing them saying, well, my religion says this is what I'm supposed to do. Get it? I find it fair. So Mark is now currently a city councilman in Clearwater, and he's on a mission to save downtown Clearwater, which is kind of ironic because one of the people he helped, Tori Chrisman, was one of the original people that got Scientology its foothold in there. But Scientology in Clearwater is essentially running like a real estate scam where they're buying up all this realty and squeezing out of downtown anything non-Scientological. So Mark and some of the other city councilmen are trying to help like give an actual revival to downtown Clearwater. Aaron Smith-Levin is a big part of this too. He narrowly was defeated to be on the city council. If it wasn't a midterm election, I'm sure he would have won because turnouts are always low in the midterms. I know this. I was a Democratic committee man in my township at one time. So that's very admirable and shows his devotion and integrity. The fact that not only is he living in the city, of the headquarters of the organization that's been out to get him for 20 years, he is now putting himself out there as a public figure, as a member of the city council, speaking not only openly and on camera, but on public record as, someone of an elected office, and continues to do so despite their relentless persecution. Why? Because Mark Bunker, that's why I'm talking about him, has integrity, and he's willing to do the right thing even when it costs him personally, even when doing the right thing and telling the truth can be a personal detriment to you. That's extremely admirable to me because I have endured that multiple times myself. So this is just a brief overview of Mark Bunker and why he is a person of integrity. I will add the links to his YouTube channels. I highly suggest you check out some of his documentaries. He's also featured on many other ex-Scientologist channels as well, but I'll give you links to like some of his OG work from the late 90s, early 2000s, when there wasn't, nearly anybody speaking out publicly on camera back then. So yes, if you are a person of integrity, this is someone you can look to for inspiration, as I do. And Mark continues his fight because people of integrity, we remain soldiers until the war is won. Thank you for making it to the end. Please trust your intuition. When you think you come across somebody who is admirable and that of integrity, they are rare in this world. When you find them, look to them for inspiration. And remember, your integrity is not for sale for some of us. I'd say for most of us on this channel. Remember that. No one can take it from you. You have to give it to them. And despite everything Scientology has done to Mark Bunker over the years, he refuses to give up his integrity for any price. Very admirable. Please like and subscribe. Click the notification button to be alerted of future videos. Maybe YouTube will. If you want to support the channel, there's the super thanks button and the links in the about section to send a tip. Additionally, if you'd like to have me make a personal or public video of a topic you request or your story, the instructions on how to do that is found in the video with me in my white t-shirt from my modeling shoot as the thumbnail. I'll probably put the link in the comments as well. So if you would like to support the channel and, maybe money's tight, please look through my older videos and watch them because there's some helpful stuff I truly believe in there, and YouTube's not going to recommend them anymore as of 2 weeks ago because, new rules. Got to make it more unfair for the little guy.